Good morning, UUSS. It's good to be here. Rise with us in body or spirit, as we in fact call to that spirit when the spirit says do, 1024. You gotta do when the spirit says do. You gotta do when the spirit says do. When the spirit says do, you gotta do. Oh, you gotta do when the spirit says do. 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 You gotta sing when the spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the spirit says sing. When the spirit says sing, you gotta sing. Oh Lord, you gotta sing when the spirit says sing. 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 You gotta dance when the spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the spirit says dance. When the spirit says dance, you gotta dance. Oh Lord, you gotta dance when the spirit says dance. 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 You gotta laugh when the spirit says laugh. You gotta laugh when the spirit says laugh. When the spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh. Oh Lord, you gotta laugh when the spirit says laugh. Ha ha! Spirit says laugh. 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 You gotta shout when the spirit says shout. You gotta shout when the spirit says shout. When the spirit says shout, you gotta shout. Oh Lord, you gotta shout when the spirit says shout. 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 You gotta do when the spirit says do. You gotta do when the spirit says do. When the spirit says do, you gotta do. Oh Lord, you gotta do when the spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
We've got to have less energetic opening hymns. No, that was great. That was great. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday service. If you're here in person, we welcome you. If you are participating online at home, we send you a friendly, welcoming greeting. I'm the Reverend Lucy Bunch, proud to be serving this congregation alongside my colleague, the Reverend Roger Jones. Our worship associate today is Celia Buckley, and Reverend Roger is preaching on the topic of dangerous words, liberating libraries, and resisting censorship. I got them all riled up for you, Roger. The mission of our congregation says that we come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world. Towards this end, we acknowledge that UUSS exists on the occupied ancestral territories of the Nisenan, Southern Maidu, and Miwok people. As we seek to develop beloved community, let this acknowledgement be a first step towards respect for and relationship with Indigenous people and Indigenous peoples' lives, history, and voices. For those of you on Zoom this morning, you can follow along in our order of service that should be posted in your chat box. Our weekly message comes out by email every Friday, which includes announcements about the coming week and a message from the minister. You can find our weekly message on our website, along with the Blue Sheet weekly announcements, and I think the Blue Sheet might also be back there on the back table. Oh, people are waving them. So you can find out everything that's going on in the coming week. After today's service, we will have 12 minutes of conversation in Zoom breakout rooms for those of you who are participating at home. Here on campus, you can check out our connections table, enjoy coffee, tea, and conversation, and pancakes. Today is a special day for pancake lovers. Our Freedom Club is hosting their annual pancake breakfast after the service on the patio, but there are plenty of seats inside if that's warmer for you. The kids and youth of the Freedom Club raise awareness of modern slavery around the world and raise money to liberate enslaved people. They have raised thousands of dollars towards this end, and your generosity is a big part of their success. Join us for food and make some new friends. Next Sunday is a special day. We have a visitor, the Reverend Carlton Smith, who is the regional Unitarian Universalist leader, and he will be sharing an Easter message with us. There will be regular RE next Sunday, but after that, there will be an Easter egg hunt. There will be a craft table, art things to do, treats, and a visit from the Easter Bunny. So that's all pretty exciting. You're going to want to stay after for that. We're in the second week of our stewardship campaign. This is where we make pledges for the financial health of our congregation and commit our contribution for next year's budget. If you have not made your pledge for this year, and everyone is welcome to pledge, there's a table, you can't miss it when you come out of the sanctuary. Stewardship team are there to take your pledge, or you can go online to our website, find the donate button, donate thing on the green bar, click on that, and it'll take you right to the form. While you're on the website, you can also, on the stewardship page, you can see a montage of beautiful UUSS folks telling us why they love our community. And if that's just too much work for you to go to the website and click on that, it's going to show up in your inbox this afternoon. So that'll be pretty easy. So now let's hear from Celia Buckley as she shares what stewardship means to her.
Hi. My wife and I attended our first Unitarian Universalist church service in 1991. We were captivated by the kind people and spiritual diversity. Soon we decided to join and then faced our first pledge drive. Without a prior church affiliation, we were unfamiliar with making a personal financial pledge. We were advised to follow the UUA guidelines, giving chart, and to give 3 to 5% of our income. Are you kidding me, I thought? We dutifully came up with a very modest sum, but after hearing our minister's inspiring sermon on stewardship giving, we increased our number on the spot. As time passed, we discovered the UUA giving chart of 3 to 5% was referring to pre-tax income. We stretched again to approach the 3% level. Subsequent pledges at our church focused on asking members to increase their personal donation by 5% over the previous year. This is similar to this year's stewardship campaign of giving tiers of how many people are giving in each category and asking if you could increase your tier by 1. Consequently, my wife and I have increased our UU pledge every year for over 30 years. We now commit about 10% of our annual gross income to a mix of UU-sponsored programs and outside nonprofit agencies that support both humans and animals in need. We actually give more than feels comfortable. We give until it hurts, but we know our pain is insignificant compared to those that are unhoused, unwanted, or in untenable situations. But as we say here each Sunday, generosity is a spiritual act. Giving as much as is possible feels generous and makes me feel good. Being with you in our UUS community nourishes me. I'm grateful for you all, and I invite you to share your generosity with this community during our annual Stewardship Pledge Drive. Your gifts of commitment, time, and money make this community abundant. Thank you.
Thank you, Celia. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like me to share with the congregation during our prayer time, during the centering music, you can go over and fill out a card and light a candle, and I'll be over there to keep you company. So let us now take some time to settle into our space and listen to beautiful music from Irina.
Thank you, Irina, and happy Rachmaninoff's birthday. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to be with you. It's good to be with you if you're on Zoom or if you're here in the room. We're about to light our chalice, so if you have a candle or chalice at home, it's time to have it ready. I will read the words in regular type, and then please respond with the words in bold. And Theo will be our chalice lighter today. We kindle this flame in times of celebration, in times of confusion or heartache, in times of urgency, in times of change or crisis, in all times, let it remind us of our mission, and let us recite it now together. We come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world. Thank you.
As we light our chalice, I'd like to invite kids up to continue your time of the service over yonder. So if you're going to go join them, this is the time to come on up and help lead all of the adults and others in the congregation in your song. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other one. One foot, lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love.
Thank you, Celia. Let's all take a big, deep breath together and let it out with a sigh. It's good to be together. This is the time in our service where we're present for one another in gratitude for our lives and all that makes our lives rich and good. And we offer support to all those who are facing challenges and difficulty. As individuals and as a community, we grow our resilience as we learn to live fully with both the joy and the despair, the challenges and the opportunities. This community is a source of strength and resilience. And so this morning, we'll share our celebrations and our sorrows. Let us hold in our heart all those that need our comfort and those that need the strength of this community. And let us celebrate with those whose lives are well and whole. Let us hear the words of celebration and sorrow. The celebration of the life of Frankie Crawford, a beloved member of our community, will be held on May 20th at 10:30 here at UUSS, and also it will be Zoomed. All are welcome. Christine and Steve Lewis, who I see sitting right there, so you'll all have a chance to congratulate them on 57 years of marriage today. So they're the only ones not clapping, in case you're trying to figure out. And now let me read to you from the cards that were shared. One among us is sharing a sorrow that their sister-in-law in Japan has suffered another miscarriage. And while she and her husband are joyful with their adopted son, they grieve for the physical and emotional pain that they must be in. Theo is sharing the joy that their dear friend Sarah is beginning to recover from years of illness and debilitating pain. Please keep her wellness in your thoughts. Diana is sharing a sorrow in their thinking of my son Gabriel as he is struggling through some mental health challenges, wishing him peace, hoping he feels held with love. Fletcher would like us all to know that he really, really likes his boots. One among us is holding on to hope for an improvement in their son's health. They say that right now hope is all that they can offer, but maybe that is enough. Sean is sharing his joy about meeting many newcomer families with young children. We share in that joy as well. Mackenzie is sharing a joy. She says, to all my friends who are accomplishing their goals in life, some getting into their dream schools, while others are going abroad, for the special place they hold in my life, no matter near or far. Ross is telling us about a friend. He's sharing a sorrow about a friend who's entered hospice care with lung cancer. Archer would like us to know that he loves his grandma and grandpa. Annie is sharing a joy of getting to meet my significant other's daughter and granddaughters and spending time with his son's family. Ruth is appreciating the natural world and her four-legged friends this spring. Fiona is sharing a joy about welcoming a new puppy to their home. A lot of good joys today. Terry is sharing a sorrow about her friend who's undergoing cancer treatment, which leaves her weak, tired, and uncomfortable for about a week each month. Annika is sharing a sorrow. She says she misses her brother Liam and has not seen him in 6 years. One among us is sharing the joy of going to play with their homies. They say, I'm so happy. Mia wants to share their joy in going to church with their mother. And Bess has a sorrow that their beloved uncle passed away after a shorter than expected illness. I'm also concerned about my dad, who is now the only living of the 4 siblings. Let's all take a deep breath together and let it out with a sigh. It's a lot to take in, but this community is strong and resilient. But I thought it would be lovely this morning to do a loving kindness meditation. So I'm going to encourage you to think about someone, maybe someone who I read on one of the cards, or someone in your life, or maybe someone in yourself that you would really like to open your heart and compassion to and offer them some loving kindness. So it's always best to start this practice with yourself. So we're going to do it 4 times. The first time will be for you, and then the second 3 times will be for whoever you choose. You could also choose the people of Ukraine or the earth or something that is on your heart this morning. So let's do this where I'll say the words and then you can repeat them out loud or you can repeat them in your own head, whatever's comfortable for you. So let's take another deep breath and let it out with a sigh. So the first time will be for you. So repeat after me, either in your head or out loud. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. And now insert in place of yourself whatever you choose to offer loving kindness to this morning. May the world be filled with loving kindness. May the world be well. May the world be peaceful and at ease. May the world be whole. May the people of Ukraine be filled with loving kindness. May the people of Ukraine be well. May the people of Ukraine be peaceful and at ease. May the people of Ukraine be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be whole. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be well. And now let's take a moment of silence to hold all this compassion, all this loving kindness in our hearts. Blessed be.
What a wonderful unity we have, and what a difference it can make for the world. Let's rise and sing We Would Be One, 3:18. We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than what we have known today, we would be one in searching for that meaning which blinds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Soul Matters theme for the month is the path of resistance. Reverend Rogers' sermon is entitled Dangerous Words, and it's about censorship. Today's musical choices remind us that censorship has threatened artists for generations. For the music for Centering today, Irina chose the music of Sergei Rachmaninoff, a great composer and pianist of Russian descent, whose 150th birthday today is celebrated throughout the world. In 1917, Rachmaninoff, threatened by the Bolshevik Revolution, got his family out of Russia, and they moved to the United States in 1918 in self-imposed exile. Later, in 1931, the composer signed a letter in the New York Times criticizing the cultural policies of the Stalinist government of the Soviet Union. This got his music banned in his homeland until 1933. Yet all through World War II, he sent the proceeds of his piano concerts to help the Red Army in fighting Nazi Germany. Many Soviet composers and artists were threatened, censored, and condemned for their originality and the caliber of their talent. They were instead expected to glorify the comradeship of the working class. A state newspaper called their music cheap clowning and clever ingenuity, which may end up very badly. Some composers had to denounce their own works in order to survive. Many were prosecuted and sent to prison labor camps along with other artists. Irina will be playing a concert featuring these composers, including Rachmaninoff, here at UUSS this August with Thomas Durthik on double bass. In a few minutes, we will hear a song from an American opera entitled Street Scene. Based on a play by Elmer Rice, Street Scene uses the words of African-American poet Langston Hughes and the music of Kurt Weill. Weill was born in Germany in 1900. After the Nazi takeover, his left-wing politics and Jewish identity led to government criticism and even interferences in performances of his works on stage. Kurt Weill and his wife immigrated to the U.S. in 1933. Anthony will be singing and Irina will be playing Lonely House from Street Scene, which opened in 1947. But next, we will hear a piano version of the song Strange Fruit. In 1937, an American Jewish poet and musician by the name of Abel Meeropol wrote the words to Strange Fruit and later wrote the music for it. It was a short, slow protest of the unchecked terror of the lynching and hanging of African Americans by white mobs. This is the first stanza. Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit, hanging from the poplar trees. In New York City, the blues and jazz singer Billie Holiday was introduced to the song. She began singing it in nightclubs. It was so powerful that she ended her concerts with it, with waiters no longer serving and lights out except for one beam on her face. She closed her eyes before starting in a gesture of prayer. She was under contract to Columbia Records, but they wouldn't let her record it under their label. Columbia's executive feared a reaction by record store owners in the South, as well as radio stations affiliated with CBS, the parent company of Columbia Records. Billie Holiday's own producer refused to record it also. She negotiated a one-session release from her contract and got her friend Milton Gabler to produce it on his Commodore label. Her 1939 version of the song was listed in the National Registry of Recorded Music by the Library of Congress in 2003. Irina will play the tune to this song. Here is the first stanza again. Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging on the poplar trees.
Generosity is a spiritual practice, and our congregation practices generosity by giving away half of each Sunday's offering to an organization that is working to make a difference in the world. For April, our community partner is Planned Parenthood, an organization that delivers vital reproductive health care, sex education, and information to millions of people worldwide, as well as right here in Sacramento. In addition to family planning services, they provide care for transgendered individuals and any gender needs care related to sexual health and reproduction. Given the assault on reproductive rights, your donation is more important than ever. The funds we raise will go to our local Planned Parenthood affiliate. Please give generously in support of this important organization. On the slide, you can see ways that you can donate. It's also posted as a link in the chat. Please note that we have a new text number, so if you have been donating by text, you will need to set up a new account if you haven't already done so. And it's a great opportunity to remind you that you can donate by text right there in your seat using the number on the screen. Thank you for your generosity. The morning's offering will now be given and received.
This old house seems to breathe a sigh. Sometimes I hear a neighbor snoring. Sometimes I hear a baby cry. Sometimes I hear a staircase creaking. Sometimes a distant telephone. Then the quiet settles down again. The house and I are all alone. Lonely house, lonely me. Funny, with so many neighbors, how lonely it can be. Oh, lonely street, lonely town. Funny, you can be so lonely with all those folks around. I guess there must be something I don't comprehend. Sparrows have companions, even stray dogs find a friend. The night for me is not romantic. Unhook the stars and take them down. I'm lonely in this lonely house. In this lonely town.
Please join me in speaking our words of response to the offering. May generosity bless our world, and may gratitude nourish our spirits.
Thank you, Anthony and Irina. When I was growing up in a small town in Indiana, our red brick public library was a 20-minute walk from my house and a shorter bike ride. The children's library was on the basement level with short bookshelves, short tables and chairs, and its own staff. It wasn't long before I went upstairs, where I browsed in stacks that towered above my head. On one side of the library's lobby, sunlight poured through a tall window over a low, round table with dozens of magazines in clear plastic binders. Sitting and reading in the lounge chairs near it, I learned about global events and political perspectives different from those I had known at home. In truth, my family subscribed to newspapers and to magazines, but I was lonely at home. The library was like another home. I enjoyed the kindness of the staff at the front desk when I was asking a question, checking out materials, or paying late fees, which I did often. The library was a place where I could be around other people in safety and pursue my interests. One of my discoveries, they let you check out record albums. I took home a variety of records, especially the movie soundtracks for James Bond movies. I would play them in my bedroom at high volume and conduct the orchestra in front of the mirror. I transcribed the words of the theme song, and I memorized them and sang them. I'm available, Anthony. Mary Graham Hunter is a young librarian in Ferndale, Michigan. The reason I wanted to be a children's librarian, she said, is because it's one of the few places where a child is treated as their own entity. Children can explore, choose, read, and respond as their spirit leads them. Hunter said, a children's library is designed for children's needs first. By their existence, libraries demonstrate that everyone is equal. Everyone can get a library card, even kids. All of us have access to the same electronic resources, reference books, novels, music, and poetry. Some libraries let us borrow garden tools. Here in Sacramento, I have the freedom to sit at a table reading the Wall Street Journal or Harper's Magazine. At another table a few feet away, a homeless woman has the freedom to relax indoors when it's cold and raining outside, or when it's 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet these amazing anchors of community are under threat by forces which betray the open spirit of democracy. One threat is the politics of scarcity. The other threat is the politics of reaction and fear. Vermont is a state with a progressive and upscale reputation, but there is a lot of poverty there. A small fraction of its residents do very well, but many are just getting by. According to the Vermont author Garrett Kaiser, the state's rate of per-student spending on state colleges and universities has been one of the lowest in the nation for years. Recently, the new president of the Vermont State University System announced a plan to save $500,000 a year by closing the libraries on its 4 campuses. It would lay off the librarians, digitize part of its collection, and get rid of nearly all of the 300,000 books that it holds. Garrett Kaiser writes, I can't believe that anyone, let alone a person charged with directing an institution of higher learning, would fail to see that a college without a library is like a body without a heart. Or see that the deepest kind of scholarship is never entirely self-directed, but it requires the random browsing and serendipitous cross-referencing best done with material texts and in the aisles between opposing shelves. To say nothing of the indispensable assistance of knowledgeable librarians, both to students at the school and to community members like me, who depend on the ample collections of a college library for their business or pleasure. He says, actual people and physical books are what make a library as real as the world it exists to serve. Yet Kaiser says this Vermont University financial decision is not merely about the books. He sees it as one more step in the dissolving of democracy for the sake of money. To empty out a library and lay off librarians is to assert that the only things that matter are the things that you can quantify in dollars. Since you cannot put a number on the worth of such local resources, these assets must not be worth anything. Money is all that matters. In Vermont, the faculty, students, and other stakeholders have been protesting this plan, but it is not clear that they can change it very much. The other kind of danger to libraries is an ongoing series of aggressive campaigns to challenge books and get them removed from public schools and libraries. Book banning has never gone away, but these current campaigns have less to do with particular books than they do with intimidation of library leaders. PEN America is an advocacy group for free expression and the freedom to read. PEN reports that the number of attempts to ban books doubled from 2020 to 2021. In 12 months, 1,648 unique book titles were banned across this country. And PEN America projects a new high record for 2022. You know, the Unitarian religion started with a banned book. Michael Servetus was a Spanish physician, scientist, and theologian. In 1531, he wrote a book entitled On the Errors of the Trinity. For several years, he was in hiding, but in 1553, he resumed his anti-Trinitarian arguments in another book called The Restoration of Christianity. Later that year, Servetus was tried by the city of Geneva, Switzerland, at the urging of Protestant leader John Calvin. With his books tied to his waist, Servetus was burned at the stake in the town square. Before there was the name Unitarian, he was killed for the risk which its ideas posed to the dominant religion. A year later, in response to this atrocity, Sebastian Castellio wrote, "To kill a man is not to defend a doctrine, it is to kill a man." In the early 1800s, many Unitarians led the establishment of public libraries in their cities and states across the country. This included Senator Horace Mann, a legislator in Massachusetts. He's remembered as a founder of public education and a founder of libraries. But you don't have to go to the East Coast to find UU ancestors who founded libraries. In 1860, civic leaders in Sacramento raised funds to organize a public library. 8 years later, a number of the same people organized the First Unitarian Church of Sacramento. We have a lot of authors in our congregations, including some whose books have been targeted. When Marilyn Reynolds was an urban school teacher, she couldn't find books for her students that dealt with tough issues that many teenagers face, like sexual abuse and bullying. So she started writing those books. She has published 11 of her Hamilton High series of novels. One book is about a teenage pregnancy entitled Detour for Emmy. In 2005, that book made the list of the top 10 banned books in the country. At first, Marilyn felt proud, but then she got angry. She felt sad for those teens who wouldn't know about her books. but some clever teachers and librarians in some places found ways to work around the bans. In response to her books, including that one, young readers expressed their thanks. One wrote, "This book encourages me to not get pregnant at a young age, because when I pretend that I'm Emmy, I realize she had to change her plan and goals of life." Another girl said, "I am a 16-year-old mother, and Emmy's story helped me realize that I can make a good life for me and my baby. Thank you." Another author in the congregation is Lisa Bunker. She's written several novels and biographies for children, which include a rainbow of characters. Yet their lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender identity is not the story, just one aspect of who they are. Recently, Lisa published Zenobia July. This book is about a transgender girl who solves a cybercrime and who finds a family in the process. In Texas, a legislator is attempting to ban this book. And while school boards and legislative bodies in Texas have earned a reputation for censorship, in Connecticut a few years ago, a librarian at a middle school put one of Lisa's titles on a list of suggested books for summer vacation reading. And that librarian was fired. Sometimes banning a book will cause more people to find out about it and read it. More often, however, books disappear without publicity. The child who could have been inspired by a book won't know it even existed. The teenager who could have realized, I'm not the only one, I'm not alone, will continue to feel isolated. To be sure, it can be a risky endeavor to open the pages of a book, any book. Whether you are a youth or an adult, you may encounter unsettling words, news, actions, images, or ideas. This is why talking about books with other people is important, with family, friends, teachers, and of course, with librarians. But it's no reason to keep other people from reading a book. The most important thing to remember about the current challenges against books is this: it's not about the books. In the words of writer Melissa G. Grant, banning books has become a call to arms, providing right-wing radical activists a way to question the function and the existence of the public library. A way to defund one more anchor of democracy. In many school districts and public libraries, it is easy and simple to file a challenge against a book. Often you don't even have to have read a book to file a challenge against it. In some states, when a book is challenged, it must be taken off the shelf while that's being considered. And then staff have to take time to write reports to explain the reason for having the book. Imagine dozens of people getting fired up and mobilized to bury a library staff in hundreds of book challenges. That's happening in many places. According to the American Library Association, right now, the books attacked the most often are those with content by or about people of color, LGBT people, or people with disabilities. Published in 2019, the book Gender Queer is a graphic novel which has become the most challenged title in the country. In Jamestown, Michigan, a conservative group spread leaflets at a parade about the book. They said pornographic books were being handed out to kids at the local library. Targeting the library director by name, it said she promoted the LGBT ideology. Last year, the group lobbied against a renewal of the small portion of the property tax that funded libraries. Protect childhood innocence, their signs read. Librarians are trying to groom our children. The tax renewal failed to win, cutting most of the library's funding. Moms for Liberty is the misleading name of the largest of several right-wing campaigns that make lists of books that they accuse of being pornographic or promoting pedophilia. In response to its outrageous accusations and its social media posts, crowds of angry people fill school board meetings and library board meetings. Reciting scripted words, they accuse a library of grooming children to be trans, lesbian, or gay, simply because there are books containing those true-to-life topics. Or they go into a library and scream at the library workers, calling them pedophiles. On the phone, angry people call up and make violent threats. This is all highly organized. Speaking of the phone, the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana has set up a telephone tip line so people can report their tips on librarians and teachers engaged in what he calls taxpayer-funded sexualization of children. The Attorney General provided a list of targeted books along with model letters of complaint. This is all very scary, very upsetting, outrageous. Yet it's important to remember, it's important to know that there are more people in this country who support libraries than hate them. According to a survey done for the American Library Association a year ago, 71% of U.S. voters were against the removal of books from public libraries. Melissa Grant says, "A strong library with strong community support can withstand threats from those who want to weaken the library. It's not enough to defend a title. You have to defend the library, the work of defending intellectual freedom. And that includes defending the people who do that work." We can defend these anchors of democracy. We can learn about attacks on books, libraries, and schools by visiting the websites of the American Library Association and PEN America. We can donate to these organizations. We can find out who is on the boards of our libraries and who is on our school board, whether or not we have children. We can find out and we can get to know them. If we are lucky to live in a city or state which respects the mission of libraries, we can encourage people we know in other places to speak out and show up to oppose threats to their libraries and their schools. Last December, hundreds of ordinary people did just that. They filled a library board meeting in Louisiana. They testified against repression and censorship. "We support our librarians," they said. They held signs above their heads. "Trust our librarians." One more thing we can do wherever we may live is join the public library and use it. When we talk with a library staff member, we can say, "Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here." We hear the phrase, "protect the children," a lot. Protect the children. In spite of the violence that underlies these campaigns against books and libraries and schools, that's the refrain we hear from them, protect the children. Well, I want to protect children too. Let's protect their freedom to follow their curiosity into books, magazines, music, and art. Protect the children who thrive in the community of a library, who find assurance in a friendly face and a respectful answer at the library information desk. I want to protect the children living in difficult family situations, those who need to learn that they are not alone, those who need to find resources for their needs. Protect the children who may be curious about their gender identity or sexual orientation, or curious about sexuality in general. They deserve to learn from books written and reviewed and selected by professionals, rather than learning from the dangerous, unsupervised world of the internet. I want to protect the children by trusting libraries to put the children's interests as their first priority. I want to protect the children who will grow up to use the library to conduct a job search, learn a new skill, or study the stock market. And let's protect our children who grow up to be adults who work in libraries. As with most campaigns to censor free expression and cut funding and undermine the institutions of democracy, there are more of us who love liberty than hate it. More of us who welcome diversity than fear it. But in order to protect liberty, we must pay attention, spread the word, speak out, and show up. The story of liberty is still being written, as it must be in every generation. Let us add to the story together. Let us add to it our words, our courage, our hope, and our love. So may it be. Blessed be, and amen.
Let's create that world that Roger so described and feel that inspiration. We'll build a land, 121. We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come, build a land where all of our kindred, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come, build a land where all of our kindred, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come, build a land where all of our kindred, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come, build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where like oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come, build a land, my people we seek, where all of our kindred, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters,
Of extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but we carry the light, love, and commitment of this gathering into the days to come.
I invite you to reach out to us, reach out to one another. If you're at home, reach out to us and we reach out to you. May you depart in peace and return in joy. For all who see God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. And for all who seek a right path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step, one day at a time. Blessed be. Amen.